Durbania, I'm Durbin, and in this spoiler talk, I'm going to talk about two movies that I got to see over Christmas, but didn't get the chance to talk about yet on my channel, because at Christmas time, I'm not really here in front of the camera, but I'm out doing stuff with the family, so I got to see these two movies with the family. Today slowed down a little bit for me, so I'm super excited to be able to sit here in front of the camera and finally talk about these movies, Passengers and Assassin's Creed. And I made this video a spoiler talk, not so much for Assassin's Creed, but mostly for Passengers, because to me, Passengers was the more interesting of the two, and so that one I wanted to just dive into a little more. So this is a spoiler talk, spoilers, you have been warned. So, went and saw Passengers with my sister, my wife, and it was myself. So it was the three of us, and the reactions between the three of us were so mixed. My sister just hated this movie. She thought it was unbelievably boring. She has a particular taste in movies, but that's another story. She just did not like this movie. My wife was very middle of the road with this movie. She really was not impressed with it at all, but she didn't absolutely hate it, so I feel like her reaction to it was very middle of the road. Me, I rather enjoyed the movie. I didn't walk out of it thinking that's the best movie of the year or that's my favorite movie of all time, but I did like it while I was watching it. And what's interesting about seeing a movie now, probably 2 weeks ago, was it, and having the time to think about it and process it, and also to see what other people are saying, and now being able to sit in front of this camera and react to what some other people are saying, because I keep seeing stuff where people are talking about what a creeper Chris Pratt's character was, that he was just this utterly gross, insane creeper, and I see where they're coming from, so I can't knock that, but at the same time, I do kind of disagree with it, because the movie was about this deep and tough moral question that Chris Pratt had to make. I mean, they're on this ship, a 120-year journey to another planet, a new home, everybody's asleep. We know from the trailer something goes wrong, and the trailer makes it look like Chris Pratt and Jennifer Lawrence both wake up together, but that is not the truth of it. Chris Pratt wakes up alone, and he's a handyman, so he tries to figure out how to fix his hibernation pod. Now, he woke up 90 years early, so if he doesn't fix it, he will die alone in solitude, and the only person he can talk to is the robot bartender. And he tries to get a help signal out, but he can't, because it's going to take it 50 years to get back to Earth, and then by the time he gets to Earth, they've moved 50 years further down the line, so it's going to take like 100 years or so he's not going to get help. So he's stuck in a helpless and impossible situation, and he spends 1 full year in solitude alone. Now, yeah, my first thing would be wake up somebody on the crew, wake up a repairman, but here was the flaw with how they designed this ship, apparently. Passengers have no access to, important people like the captain or the handyman of the ship or things like that. They have no access to that. So he can't get that help. He can't go and wake up somebody that can fix the pod. He can't wake up the captain. So in no way, shape, or form is he able to get help. He is stuck awake, and he is stuck to die alone. Can you imagine the fear that he's facing every day that he wakes up? The fear on top of the loneliness? I mean, I can't even begin to imagine that. So when he sees Jennifer Lawrence in her pod and he thinks she's really pretty and he reads her bio, and she's a journalist, so he starts to read her stories and he falls in love with her that way, yes, I will admit that's creepy and that's not right. But at the same time, he's been alone for a year. He's been in fear for a year. He's living knowing he's gonna die alone. He's scared. He's a man at the end of his rope. And what sucks is a drowning man is always going to try to find somebody to drown with them. And that's what happens. He opens Jennifer Lawrence's pod and wakes her up. Is it right? No. Am I saying it's right? I'm not saying it's right. I'm saying what an interesting moral conundrum that this movie faced us with. I spent the first half of this like, Chris Pratt, don't open that pod. Don't open that pod. Then he opened the pod, basically taking her life from her. And then I'm spending the rest, Chris, just be honest with her, man. Just be honest with her. Tell her you were the one who woke her up, that it wasn't a problem, that you don't want to die alone. Just be honest with her. She's gonna hit you, but my gosh, just be honest with her. I mean, it was interesting what this movie did to me. I mean, it's one of those things that, yeah, that was morally wrong what he did and how he woke up Jennifer Lawrence. It was wrong. But I think what this movie is doing is it's bringing you to that level of making you ask that moral question. What would you do if you were alone for a year on a spaceship, facing the fear of dying alone and never reaching your destination? What would you do in that situation? And then you get to the end of the movie, and Jennifer Lawrence truly does fall in love with him, even knowing the truth. And when he finds a way to put her back to sleep, she doesn't choose it. She chooses to stay awake with him and build a life with him on the ship. So even if what he did was creepy, she chose to be with him, which I thought was such a fascinating plot. So in the end, I'm going to give Passengers a B. And I'm giving it a B because I really liked it. I really liked that the moral conundrum and choice that it brought forth in the movie really it got me going. I was like, Chris, tell her the truth! And Jennifer, just try to understand, but I get why you're so angry. I mean, the movie kind of evoked that in me. So I'm giving it a B because I really enjoyed it. I thought that it was a compelling story, and I did think it was overall well told. I'm not super excited to go see it again. I don't need to see it again, but if it was ever on TV or something, I'd watch it. So the next movie I saw over Christmas was Assassin's Creed. And again, saw it about 2 weeks ago. And the interesting thing about seeing a movie and then reviewing it about 2 weeks later is just what your mind does as you think about the movie. I don't remember very much about it. So Assassin's Creed to me was a very forgettable movie. I do remember being in the theater, watching it, and enjoying myself. I remember having a good time with it, enjoying the action sequences. I think I enjoyed the musical score. Michael Fassbender's a great actor. There were a lot of things about it that I enjoyed and I had fun with. So video game movies are notoriously bad. I don't think this was notoriously bad. It was just kind of forgettable. But then here's a sad testament to human nature. While I don't remember a lot of the positives, I do remember the negatives. And one of my biggest negatives was struggling with the whole Apple of Eden plotline. That really, it's about the assassins who are trying to keep the Apple of Eden hidden. And it's about this priesthood who want to find the Apple of Eden and strip away man's free will with the Apple of Eden. Because if they strip away man's free will, all evil and all that stuff is gone forever. And my question is, how? I mean, I understand that's a plot in the video game. I kind of remember that, and I think the video game did it more interesting. But how? How does one single apple strip away the free will of all mankind? But if you're stripping away free will, what does that even mean? Does that mean everybody else's free will is gone and the holder of the apple, all free will bends to that person's free will? Is that what that means? And I'm asking these questions because they would have been compelling if the movie answered them. They would have been compelling storytelling if the holder of the apple suddenly all would bend to his will. That would be more interesting than just this generic, we have an apple of Eden, it's one single apple, but it's going to take away the free will of 7 billion people. How? How does that even work? I don't know. So I just remember struggling with that, and the more I've thought about that plot, the more I struggle with it. And then I think it was Cody Leach on his channel talking about how what he didn't like was the fight scenes and how good they were, but right when it was getting good, it would cut away to watching Michael Fassbender in the Animus, and he's fighting holograms. So he'd be doing something absolutely amazing inside the Animus, inside the memories of his past ancestor, doing some really cool stuff, and just as something cool happens, we cut away from that, and there he is in some weird giant machine with some arm holding him. I don't know. I could agree with that. Just when things are getting really good, it cuts away. So I think in the end, I'd give Assassin's Creed a C. I did not hate it. I did have fun while I was watching it, but once is enough. I don't ever really want to own it. I don't really need to see it again, but I didn't hate my theatrical experience, but it is forgettable and it's not great. If you saw Passengers and Assassin's Creed, what are your thoughts on these movies? Make sure to let me know in the comments. And while you're there, hit that subscribe button and become a Durbanian. You know there's a little bell by the subscribe button. Click that bell and you'll get notified the moment I drop a video. And that's just a really cool thing because I have a lot of really great things on the way. I got Underworld Awakening reading way too much into. I have a surprise with Durban Experiences coming up a little bit later in February-ish. There's a lot of things that I'm super excited about. So hit that subscribe button, hit that bell, like this video, share this video. I'm Durban. Thank you for checking out Durbania.